and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd do a quick little Popsugar Reading Challenge check-in just to see how I am doing with this reading challenge so far. If you don't know what the Popsugar Reading Challenge is, it's a reading challenge, obviously, which goes on for the entire year. There are 40 different prompts if you're doing the regular version and 50 prompts if you do the advanced version. So the purpose of this challenge is to read one book for each of the prompts. So for me, I'm doing the advanced version. That means I have to read 50 different books for these prompts. So today I thought I'd just go through the prompts that I've done so far and just to see like how I'm doing, if I'm behind, if I'm ahead, if I'm on track. I'm not going to talk about these books today. I've already talked about these books in wrap-ups and reading vlogs and stuff like that, so I'm not going to spend much time talking about the books. I'm just going to go through them and also maybe explain a little bit why I think they work for the different prompts. As you will see as I'm going through this, I am kind of adapting some of the prompts a little bit just to make them fit my TBR and the books I am reading. I think one of the main purposes of this reading challenge is to encourage people to read more diversely, which I definitely think that I'm doing. But for me, I also want to use books that are already on my TBR. And if I don't have it on my TBR, like I own it either as an ebook or a physical book, I have to at least be able to get it through my library or as an audiobook through Scribd, which is what I'm using for audiobooks. I don't want to add to my TBR for this challenge, and I also don't want to read books that I have absolutely no interest in. So for that reason, I am kind of like making some of the books just fit the prompts and adapting them a little bit, as you will see, but I don't think I'm going like too outside of the purpose of the prompt, so to speak. I think I'm doing pretty well with it, but you will see that as I start to go through these books. So yeah, let's just start from the top, and the first prompt that I have completed, that is prompt number 6, a book with a gem, mineral or rock in the title. For this I've read The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. I basically just googled nickel to see if it was a mineral, and I found it on a list of minerals. On Wikipedia it says that it's a metal, so I'm not sure how that works because I don't know anything about this stuff, but since I found it on a list of minerals, I'm going to use it. So the next prompt that I have completed is to read a book with a family tree. For this prompt I've used A Storm of Swords Part 2 by George R.R. Martin. This book doesn't have like a traditional family tree in it, but if you've read this series, you know that in the back there are like long lists of just all the characters in this series and how they are related to each other and how they sort of their position in the family and just how the families are related to each other and all that stuff. So I think that works as a family tree, even though it doesn't look like a traditional one. So I'm using this book for the prompt. If I happen to read another book this year that has a more like traditional family tree in it, I might switch out this one and use that book instead. But for now I'm using it, and I think it works well enough, so I'm just going to use it. The next prompt that I've completed is prompt number 11, a book about forgetting. For this prompt I'm using Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. I'm not going to say why that book fits the prompt because that would be a spoiler. I didn't know when I started reading this book that it would work for this prompt, but it definitely does. But yeah, I'm not going to say why. Then I have also completed prompt number 12, a book you have seen on someone's bookshelf. in real life, on a Zoom call, in a TV show, etc. I think I mentioned this in my reaction video to this challenge, that this is just a very easy prompt for me. Since I'm on BookTube, I see people's bookshelves all the time. So for this prompt, I'm using Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. I know I have seen this on someone's bookshelves not too long ago, someone here on BookTube. I can't remember who, unfortunately. But I do remember I had just started reading this book or I had just put it on my TBR, and I saw this book on someone's bookshelves, and I just remember thinking to myself that, okay, that's great, I can actually use this book for that challenge then. So I did. But like I said, I can't remember who. But if you have this book on your bookshelves in the background of your videos, it might be you. So the next prompt that I have completed is prompt number 13, A Locked Room Mystery. For this prompt, I have used The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I have seen some discussions on the Goodreads Popsugar group where some people are discussing whether this book is a locked room mystery or it's a closed circle mystery, I think it's called, which is something that I never heard of. There seems to be sort of a general consensus that this book is maybe more of a closed circle mystery. It's set on a remote island, which is why I think it works, and I'm just going to use it for the locked room mystery prompt, even though if you're being strict about it, maybe it doesn't completely fit the prompt, but like I mentioned before, it's good enough for me. The next prompt that I have completed is prompt number 15, a book with a black and white cover. For this prompt, I've used The Dream by Harry Bernstein. This book has, as you can see, a black and white photo on the cover. The title is more of a brownish reddish color, but I think that since there is an actual black and white photo on this cover, that works for this prompt. That's how I see it anyway. Then I have completed prompt number 20, which is a book on a Black Lives Matter reading list. For this prompt, I have read Stamped from the Beginning by Ibram X. Kendi. I just looked at some Black Lives Matter reading lists, and this one I think I found on the first one that I checked, so it definitely works. The next prompt is prompt number 21, a genre hybrid. For this, I read Recursion by Blake Crouch, and this is a mix of sci-fi and thriller. Then we have prompt number 22, a book set mostly or entirely outdoors. For this prompt, I've used Dead Mountain, The Untold True Story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident by Donny Eichar. This is a non-fiction book about a group of hikers that goes missing in the Russian mountains, and they're found dead under sort of mysterious circumstances, I guess. So this book is not set entirely outdoors. Some of the stuff about the author and his investigations, I guess, is not set outdoors, but pretty much everything about the hikers and the rescue mission to find them is set outdoors. So I'd say this one works. Then we have prompt number 25, and that is a book that was published anonymously. And this one, I'm not sure I'm going to use this book, but for now I'm using it. And that is Double Down by R. Caden. I've read a couple of books by R. Caden this year, and I know that this is a pen name. It's not the author's real name, as far as I've been able to find out. And I just noticed that I haven't actually seen, I haven't seen his real life mentioned anywhere. I haven't seen a photo of the author or anything like that. So that sounds kind of anonymous to me. Maybe if I actually really looked into it and tried to figure things out, I would have been able to see who this is. But I think this is anonymously enough that I'm going to use it. But once again, if I happen to read another book this year that I think will work better, I might switch this one out. But yeah, I think that this is going to be good enough for me, so for now I'm using it. Then we have prompt number 27, a book about do-overs or fresh starts. And for this prompt I've read Lost and Found by Lucy Lennox and Sloane Kennedy. This is a second chance romance, which is why I think that it works. Then we have prompt number 30, a book set somewhere you'd like to visit in 2021. And I think I mentioned in my reaction video that this could be a book set pretty much anywhere, because you know we haven't actually been able to go many places for this past year. So you know there are just plenty of places that I would like to visit. So I've decided to use The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. This book is set in London. I love London. I've been there a few times. I always want to go back. It's probably not going to happen in 2021, to be honest, but yeah, I'd always want to go back to London, so I'm going to use this book. Then we're jumping to prompt number 37, a book you think your best friend would like. And for this prompt, I'm not really using a particular friend. I'm more thinking about, like, most of the people I know in real life who are readers, they tend to like mystery, thriller, crime type of books. So I'm just going to use a book in that genre. So I'm using Politi by Jo Nesbø, which I just read earlier this month. This is a mystery thriller book, and most of the people that I know who reads would probably enjoy this book, or to be honest, they've probably already read it because it's a few years since it was released. So, and Jo Nesbø is a very popular author in Norway. But yeah, I'm using this book for that. The next prompt is prompt number 38, a book about art or an artist. For this, I'm going to use I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman. This book is about a band, and I figured musicians are artists too, so I'm going to use this one. So that was all the regular prompts that I've done so far, but I've also completed some of the advanced prompts. The first one of those is prompt number 42, the shortest book on your TBR list. So for this, I have read Victoria by Knut Hamsun. This was the shortest book on my physical TBR. I decided to go with my physical TBR for this prompt because I do have ebooks on my Kindle that are shorter than this, because I mentioned before how I have a lot of short stories and novellas and stuff like that. But some of them don't have page numbers, so it's just difficult to know how long they are. So I figured it was just easier to go with my physical TBR, and I usually try and prioritize my physical TBR anyway. So I read this book for that prompt. This is just around 100 pages. So it was my shortest book. Then I have completed prompt number 45, the book that's been on your TBR list for the longest amount of time. And I can't be 100% sure because I don't actually remember when I got all of these books, but I'm pretty sure that the book that I've had on my TBR the longest that I haven't finished reading is the Narnia book. So I have, in this edition, I have all of the 7 Narnia books in one. I have read most of them, but not all. So I put the book number 6, The Magician's Nephew, I put on my TBR for April, and I have read it at the time that I'm filming this video. There is one more book in here that I haven't read, and I have actually started that one now, so I will complete that one in April as well. So both of those books would work for the book that's been on my TBR the longest, because I'm pretty sure I own this for, I don't know, 10 years, maybe 12 years, something like that. I've had it for a long time without reading it. So yeah, pretty sure it's the one that's been on my TBR the longest. And the final prompt that I have completed is prompt number 47, a book from your TBR list you associate with a favorite person, place or thing. And for this prompt, I decided to use Selfies by Jussi Adler Olsen, which was actually the first book that I read in 2021. I'm using this book because I borrowed it from my mom, and because of that, it reminds me of my mom. And she is one of my favorite people, so it totally works for that prompt. So that was all the prompts that I've done so far. If I have counted correctly, that is 17 altogether. And you know, according to my calculations, it means that I am on track. I think I'm actually just a little bit ahead, because I think at the end of April I should be at around 16, 17 books in order to be on track. And I'm on 17 now, and it's still kind of early in April. And also I have some books on my TBR for the month, some books that I'm in the middle of or that I will get to sometime in April that will also count for some of these prompts. So I think at the end of the April I will have completed maybe around 20. So yeah, I'm a little bit ahead, and that feels really, really good. I should probably also mention that there are some prompts in this challenge that I have probably technically completed already that I haven't mentioned today. And those are just very easy prompts that I read a lot of books that could fit into them. But I haven't counted them so far, and the reason for that is just because this challenge is always, at least for me, it's always easiest at the beginning of the year, because you're starting out with a whole bunch of prompts. And honestly, most of the books that I read at the start of the year could fit into one or some of the prompts. So it's just easy to like cross off prompts at the beginning of the year. But then, you know, for the second half of the year, when you have less prompts left and some of them might be more challenging, there might be less options for each prompt and stuff. And this challenge is just a little bit more difficult. And I just know that when that time comes, it's just nice to have some easy prompts that I can easily cross off, which is why I'm sort of saving some of the easier prompts for that time, even though I have technically completed them. I have books that I could use for them that I have read at this point. So I just wanted to mention that as well, because if you counted those as well, I would probably have maybe 2 or 3 more prompts completed at this point. But yeah, I'm just saving some to just feel, you know, when a challenge is getting a little bit harder, that I'm still making progress, you know. I don't know if that makes sense, but you know, it kind of works for me. I've done this challenge a few times now, so which yeah, I just figured that was a good thing to do. So yeah, I think that was everything that I wanted to say in this video. I don't know if this is interesting for anyone other than me, but you know, I think it's fun to look at these things and just see how I'm doing. And it's just good to like check in a couple of times during the year, I think, to just see how I'm doing and if I need to like step up my speed or prioritize these things more. I know I haven't talked a lot about this challenge in my videos, just because I figured it'd be boring if I mention it all the time, but I do think about this challenge a lot. It's always on my mind when I'm picking out my TBRs and stuff, so yeah, it's definitely a priority for me to complete this challenge this year as well. And so far, it's looking pretty good. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video. Like I said, I don't know if this was interesting, but I hope that you enjoyed it anyway. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye!